Good morning. I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News, coming to you from our digital desk. We're about to take you to a news conference taking place in the rotunda of City Hall. This is being held by the Cleveland Peacemakers Incorporated. They are doing what they can to try and get federal funding back. It was cut back in April, and today is National Community Violence Intervention Advocacy Day. Cleveland, along with 14 other cities, are trying to get funding reinstated on a federal level to help protect some of our city streets and reduce crime in our community. Let's take you live now to City Hall in the Rotunda.
And for the families still navigating the daily reality of grief and trauma, finding their way through a new normal that none of us should have to face. Thank you. I want to take a moment to honor the pioneers of this work in Cleveland. Omar Ali Bey, Khalid Samad, Grady Stevenson, James Box, Lisa Bottoms, Reggie Rucker, Charles C., Jim Brown, and so many more. Your leadership, investment, commitment, and vision have laid the foundation. Before it was called community violence intervention, it was outreach. You showed up when it was inconvenient, and you stayed even when there was no recognition or funding. Thank you. Too often this work has been viewed as community service, something done on the side or done for free. But those days are over. This is not volunteerism. This is not charity. This is life-saving work. And the people who commit their lives to it, who interrupt violence, who walk with families, who guide young people toward peace, deserve to be paid a livable wage, not just in Cleveland, but across the country. This isn't about the organization I lead, it's about the impact this work has on people, those who we serve and those who we don't. Violence prevention saves lives. From a public health lens, community violence intervention is about the collective action. What we do as a community, as systems, as a city and county, together to make our neighborhoods safer. I remember during my first year as an executive director, a young boy named Anthony Hughes was shot and killed. He had been a part of programs like Cleveland Peacemakers and the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Ohio. His death reminds us that even when programming exists, our built environment and systemic failures still put lives at risk. We cannot program our way out of this disease of violence, but we can save lives, and we are saving lives. Today, I want you to hear directly from the people on the ground, community-based organizations, grassroots leaders, and elected officials about why this work matters and why funding to scale and sustain is not optional, it's essential. So I would like to call to the podium before I invite anyone, I do want to mention that the reason why we are here today is because on April 22nd, Trump administration sent termination emails to 65 organizations, including Cleveland Peacemakers, saying that the work that we do does not align with his administration. The #1 cause of death for children in our country is gun violence. The #1 cause for kids in our city is gun violence. And when you think about alignment, how this is not a priority is crazy. Or Cleveland Peacemakers lost $1.7 million of a $2 million grant. In addition to our organization, Brenda Glass, who is the founder of Brenda Glass Trauma Recovery Center, also lost funding. This put her at risk of closing down transitional homes, foregoing her salary, and laying off people who she served. Brenda Glass' work is so important because when we meet people at the hospital, she is the first person to say, I have a house for you to live in so that you are not even more afraid to lose your life or someone else that you love. In addition to that, Cleveland State University lost funding. Cleveland Peacemakers' work has not been researched or evaluated, and for the first time, through the passing of the Bipartisan Safer Community Act, we have funding to do that. So this is not just about Cleveland Peacemakers. This is about our partners and communities who are going to be impacted due to this loss. So I would like to invite to the podium Councilman Richard Stark to talk about what this work means to him.
Good morning. Major thanks to Maisha Watkins and the work that Peacemaker Alliance does each and every day. I've had the pleasure and honor of being able to work with Maisha for about 15 years now, which is important. And what you didn't understand is long before me and her was front line doing this type of work in the public eyes, we were at the Boys and Girls Club trying to work with youth all over. If you understand that good programs, great quality programs is actually under attack, not just in the city of Cleveland, not just in Cuyahoga County, not just from the state level, but from this whole entire country. So us as leaders must do something, which is very important. What that means is we cannot sit aside, sit alone, go home, and not do something when we hear the gunshots in our neighborhood. We have to roll up our fists as well as fight back and also take back our neighborhood. So the funding that Peacemaker Alliance is losing and the funding that other organizations is losing, we have to strategize and be more strategic. So I am proud to partner with organizations such as the Peacemaker Alliance. Brendan Glassburn organization was a program that me and Councilwoman House Jones got behind and championed to make sure we got ARPA funding to that organization. And now to find out that some funding is being taken away, it just doesn't make sense. So my question and my direct response to the man in the White House, President Trump, is the fact that you telling me this type of work don't align with your cabinet vision, but since 2019 to 2024 in the city of Cleveland, we had 950 homicides in the city of Cleveland. Of that, it was 825 black people that looked like me that were killed due to gun violence. So if you're saying this work does not align with your vision, then I think you need to get outside more and you need to come into the neighborhoods and understand that we have challenges and barriers and guns are coming into our neighborhoods and our young people are getting access to these guns and they are actually using them to take people's lives. So we must not stay silent. We must continue to rally behind each other and work together. So I am proud that on April 28th, with the support of my colleagues, we declare gun violence as a public health crisis. We've had organizations for years mention that this type of work needs to be there. So we need to be able to come up with a strategic plan to be able to challenge and fight this issue that's going on. So I'm glad to be here, honored to work with you, Maisha, as well as all organizations to make sure we're doing the job that we need to do. Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite County Councilman Michael Hausner to the podium.
Good morning. I just want to thank Cleveland Peacemakers and all the other organizations that are doing this incredible work in our community. I'm here because this work matters. I'm, elected official, community organizer. We are a united front. These fundings are not just budget, it's not just numbers. These are our violence prevention specialists that meet you at the hospital. These are our Brenda Glasses. These are so many people who are doing this great work in this community. To Councilman Starr's point, the number is not zero, but Cleveland homicide rate has dropped, and I believe it's because of everyone in this room. We have to stay united. We have to continue the good work. This is so important. I'm so happy to be here today. If you guys need anything from me, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will say this, I am here because if we truly care about safer communities, then we have to support the people that make these communities safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, County Councilman. I would like to invite Ms. Butler to the podium. She's here representing Congresswoman Chantel Brown.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Jasmine Butler, Administrative Director for Congresswoman Chantel Brown, and unfortunately, due to the fact that there were votes scheduled in Washington, D.C., Congresswoman Brown is unable to join us, but I'm here on her behalf. And she remains deeply committed to the Community Violence Prevention Grant Program, as well as the vital work of the Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance. Just last week, Congresswoman Brown led a letter to President Trump calling for the immediate restoration of these critical funds. She asked me to share the following statement with you. The Trump administration's decision to terminate $2 million in funding for the Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance is a disgraceful betrayal of the law, of decency, and of the people of Cleveland. This funding has been a lifeline for a community that has experienced too much pain and trauma. The Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance doesn't just intervene in moments of crisis. They build trust, foster healing, and prevent violence before it happens. They walk alongside families, survivors, and at-risk youth every single day. To pull the rug out from under this kind of life-saving work is not only short-sighted, it's cruel. These are the very programs that make our neighborhoods safer and more resilient. I will fight tooth and nail to restore these funds because the stakes are simply too high. And the Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance's work is not just important, it's essential. And this administration should be supporting them, not standing in their way. Again, on behalf of Congresswoman Brown, thank you for your dedication, Maisha. She stands with you and the Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance and will continue to fight until these funds are restored. Thank you.
I do want to acknowledge our Congresswoman. She was the first person to invest $500,000 at a federal level into our organization. So thank you, Congresswoman Chantel Brown. Before I get to the community members, I want you to understand that work like this cannot be done by community alone. We have to have systems, government, and people who have access to power, resources, position to be able to help us. We have a young man in the audience named Jerry Billups, who, from the system side, created programs inside of juvenile detention to bring in community programs like New Era Cleveland and Cleveland Peacemakers to be able to do that work before they return home back into a very diseased environment that's impacted by violence. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I would like to invite President Austria to the podium from the community level to speak about what's going on.
Hey y'all, I'm President Austria. I am a mom, I am a social worker, but more than that, I am a community servant and a great friend of Maisha. And I just appreciate the Peacemakers for always being a collaborative partner in this community work. I had two organizations, New Era Cleveland and the Love Project Movement. We focus on developing sustainable communities with community, right? So figuring out what is going on in our streets and figuring out how can we create a solution to it. I worked in community development and we focused on building infrastructure so much that we didn't focus on building the people. And when we built this beautiful infrastructure, and we were so surprised that safety was still an issue. Just because we build pretty things does not mean that we're not addressing the root cause of the issue, right? So I appreciate when we have funding opportunities, but I also don't rely on them. Our organization is built by the hands of the people. They utilize their skills, their money, their resources, their talents to bring it to one place to figure out how can we build a sustainable process. And that is love. They bring their love. We don't wait on federal dollars. We're not waiting on city dollars. We're not waiting on anything to make sure that we have everything that our people need. We don't wait for, oh, our program doesn't do that or this limitation doesn't do that. We focus on fighting missing children. We focus on patrolling our communities, engaging, modeling the behavior that we want to see in our communities. We focus on connecting with beautiful partnerships like the Peacemaker, like Brenda Glass, like Cleveland State and the students there, and building sustainable processes with community. I hope that we focus on utilizing our own resources to support the Peacemakers Alliance, support New Era Cleveland, and all the other organizations. All you need is $1 and an hour a month to dedicate to these organizations. I hope that we see y'all outside, and I hope that we don't keep waiting on Trump or any other official to figure out what we need in our communities. Our issues have never been aligned. Our efforts have never been aligned. It takes us. It takes us loving each other, and it takes us being courageous and doing something that we have never seen before. We have never seen us figure out our own problems and not figuring out who are we going to do and who are we going to call to fix them for us. I invite all of you to our community clubhouse, where we built this safe space for community to build out their own programs and their own process. We have youth programs, we have family programs, we have a pantry, and many other things. And we invite you to 11713 Buckeye as we will continue to build these efforts in our communities and across the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite Chairman Fahim of New Era Cleveland.
Thank you. Peace, peace, family. How y'all doing today? Here we go. One, I just want to show gratitude for Queen Mai for always uplifting and supporting our organization on any and every platform that she has access to. I want to thank her for our continued partnership, whether it's a community festival, whether it's supporting a family whose home has just been shot up and they need groceries, whether it's getting a youth that's troubled connected with those resources. I'm just grateful for all those opportunities. So when we say like violence prevention, for the everyday person that is not consumed or committed to this lifestyle, it can sound so complex. But violence prevention could be something as simple as a haircut for a young man. Violence prevention could be something as simple as showing up as court support for a troubled youth. Violence prevention could be something that's providing shoes, clothes, or a relationship to a person that's struggling figuring out what's life like. The culture is perpetuating all of these negative components and telling them this is manhood, but they don't see anything outside of that being modeled in their neighborhoods. And so that's what we provide. For years, out of pocket, out of our own pocket, we have been funding this movement. And to know that there are resources that are allocated that have been cut off from the people doing the very work, it is shameful. But I also want to have a conversation about us reimagining what public safety looks like. I think that we're at a pivotal moment in our existence, and we have an opportunity to do something completely different. And I would love to see our society transition to a violence prevention and intervention wave as the #1 priority when it comes to addressing crime in our neighborhoods. It's essential. Cities like Detroit, Chicago, Charlotte, Baltimore, Dallas, Atlanta, an intentional investment in violence prevention. And some of these cities have saw over a 70+% reduction in violent crime in 1 year's time. The data proves that this is the way to go. And so I want us to have conversations centered around shifting, reimagining what public safety looks like, especially in the Black community, specifically. And so I thank y'all. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you, Ms. Maisha.
Thank you so much. I would now like Sharday Hollins, representing Legacies Empowered, to come up to the podium.
Thank you so much, Maisha and Cleveland Peacemakers, for the amazing work that you all do every single day. My name is Sharday Hollins, and I'm here because the work that the Peacemakers are doing and all of our other CVI brothers and sisters directly align with our mission to break barriers towards generational success. Mental health, suicide prevention are key initiatives within our organization. Suicide is preventable, and suicide is CVI. And oftentimes we come together and we talk about these. We see color, we see zip codes, we see race, we see gender, but bullets don't have political views. Bullets don't care what zip code you are in. It impacts families, it impacts people, it impacts children. And so, as we could preach to the choir, today I have made my assignment to preach to those who are making the decisions. Because although we are disproportionately impacted by violence within the Black and brown community, we are also disproportionately represented in the seats and the offices that make decisions to defund what saves lives. So let's talk about facts. The facts are that suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 to 14 and 25 to 34. It's the third leading cause of death amongst individuals between 15 to 24, and it's the fourth leading cause of death between individuals 35 to 44. Those numbers with suicide, the reason why it's important with CVI is because 58% of deaths by suicide are done with a firearm. 68% are the deaths that are done with white men who are sitting in the offices making the decision, thinking that CVI only has to do with people who look like my 3-year-old brown son. CVI is impacting your colleagues, your sons, your co-workers, your father, because 68% of the suicide rate is with white men. And 81% of suicide is men in general, because although it is black men whose suicide rates are rising the highest, it is still white men who are dying the most. I say this also because 87% of men utilize a firearm to take their lives. That is CVI. It's about gun safety. It's about awareness. It's about community. It's about conflict resolution. It's about coping skills. It's about saving lives. And so is suicide prevention. So the next time you look at defunding something because you're tying it to zip codes that you cannot relate to, or you're tying it to a race that you cannot relate to, I want you to look around your kitchen table. I want you to take a look in your photo album. I want you to take a look in yourself and think about the times that you didn't think your life was worth living. Think about the times that one of your colleagues, your father or your son have felt that way, and some have actually died by suicide using a firearm. CVI is what allows for these conversations to happen in sacred and brave spaces, because men do not talk. But when you look at the people who are doing this work, they are men that can relate to each other, that can have these conversations, and make sure that not only are we not dying by suicide, but we are not dying by homicides. So I implore you to rethink this decision of defunding something that is so critical. Because surely, if it aligns with your agenda to save the life of a fetus, it must align to save the lives of a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 34-year-old, and a 65-year-old with CVI. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your consideration in this matter.
I'm going to go back to the elected officials. Councilwoman Stephanie House-Jones, I would like to invite you to the podium to speak about the work of CVI.
Good morning, everyone. Apologies of my tardiness. There's a lot going on from all these executive orders and having a meeting about how we move forward as a city. But I really wanted to make sure that I prioritize coming here because of the work that each of your organization does. Our city is better, right? Being able to intervene and prevent bad things from happening that have lifelong consequences is really important, right? And putting in people's hearts and spirits, while the federal government may say no at a moment, there are other people out there that have means that can make these necessary investments, right? And that's the thing I feel like the work of community, of continuing to talk and build relationships and show the actual receipts, right? And the byproducts of what we are doing to ensure that Cleveland is a wonderful, a blessed city for all, not just for a selected few, right? And so Maisha, again, I know there's been a lot of talking, but again, I wanted to show up for you because the way that you show up, just for everybody, girl. I mean, you know, Maisha is really showing up in so many different ways, and a lot of people do, right? And a lot of times people may not know the work that you do or the work of other people. So standing for you when you put a call out, I feel like as my sister, I had to be here. I want to be here, and hopefully we will work together to find other community partners who understand this work and who will make a real investment, not in the conversations. People talk about we want want to have a safe Cleveland, but a safe Cleveland can't happen without real investments in the people who have been harmed and hurt for way too long, right? And so thank you for taking this charge, and thank each and every year for the organizations. And let's see what we can do to get people to invest where others say no. God always has the last word, and he will say yes. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I now would like to invite Dr. Vanessa Holt to the podium. She's our partner at Metro Health System, where we have a hospital responder in the emergency room. Thank you, Jeff, for being here. But I would like her to talk about our research and partnership.
Thank you. My name is Vanessa Ho, and I'm a trauma surgeon. What that means is that when a child is shot and the bullet tears through their body, I take care of them. Bullets don't just tear through your bodies, though. They tear through families, and they tear through communities. And although we can do our best to fix people's bodies, there's only so much we can do as a doctor to fix the rest of the problems that are happening that create the systems that allow violence to happen. One of the amazing partnerships that I've seen work is the placement of hospital-based violence interventionalists in our hospital. Cleveland Peacemakers has an individual, Jeff, who comes and takes care of our patients in the hospital so that they can begin to heal those areas that we can't fix with suture. And one of the most important things that we need is the infrastructure to study these processes to show that they work. Numbers are meaningful. And so we do research with our community partners, including the Peacemakers, to show the value of this in our society. And some of that is working with our community partners to put money back into the hands of the people who do this research with us, who are truly our experts. And so these funds not only fund the important work, but also fund the evaluation of the work so that we can prove with numbers the effects that it has, the positive effects that it has. So my hope is that we can continue this work, which is building and growing stronger every day, and I really appreciate the time to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think one of the great points that Dr. Holt mentioned is that lives could be saved in a hospital, but the minds and hearts are forever changed. Individuals who have shot or have been shot, the chances of shooting again is very high. So a big part of our work is how do we stop re-victimization and how do we stop retaliation? And it is because of people like Jeff and Mariam Patterson who are at these hospitals that are supporting the families when emotions are high to be able to give them the resources that was allocated from the funding that was lost to be able to change their minds. I would also like to invite a survivor of gun violence to the podium, Ms. Michelle Bell, who leads Together We Rise and Impact Cleveland.
Thank you, Maisha. Good. I think it's still morning. As Maisha said, my name is Michelle Bell, and I am a gun violence survivor mom. My son's life was taken by gun violence on February the 10th, 2019 in the Collinwood community. So shortly after that, I began my organization, Impact Cleveland, and Impact stands for More Prayer, Activity, and Conversation. Our focus is on uplifting, inspiring, and encourage healing as families and individuals start this journey in a new normal of becoming a gun violence survivor. The funding, CVI funding, also extends to these programs and services that we offer, whether that's peer support, specific activities, events, connections, connecting individuals with resources, uplifting, inspiring, making referrals. All the funding that comes through CVI also impacts that as well. So today I am here, I'm saddened to be here, but I'm honored to be a part of the many community programs and partnering with them to bring this to our community of Cleveland, Greater Cleveland, Ohio. But, you know, on the flip side, with being cut and a drastic cut, it says that maybe, you know, we won't be able to continue this. But I'm here to say, because of the dedication from the individuals that are out working in community, that's represented here on this podium, the Cleveland Peacemakers, and also with the support of our local lawmakers, the Cleveland City Council, I think we will get beyond this. But it is something that needs to be said. The support continues to need to be there while we are working on a shoestring budget, bag of Skittles, and all of that. The heart is here for the people. We are here to support people. We want to build, as said before, infrastructure. We have things in place, but we want to also be here for the community and for the people. These partnerships are important. The money's important, but I think we may just need to dig a little deeper as we move forward, working together and building this and continuing this infrastructure to help the community violence and get rid of it, to help those that are surviving violence and to support one another. So with that, I said thank you, but again, it is just sad that we have to be here to make this press conference and to talk about funding being cut. But you know, I am a woman of faith most of all, and I know that prayer changes everything. So I invite you to pray and be diligent in your efforts, not only for the funding, but also for the work that's being done and for the families like my family who are surviving this tragedy such as gun violence. And I thank you.
We are almost done. I do want to invite Andrea Martimus-Peters to the podium. She represents an organization called the Hobby, which helps with the hospital-based violence prevention work.
Good morning. My name is Andrea Martimus-Peters. I am a senior manager with the Peer Learning Department here at the Hobby. The Hobby is a national network that supports hospital and community partnerships working to prevent violence and promote healing. I had the opportunity to work and support Cleveland Peacemakers as their site provided the technical assistance. Before the recent federal cuts, we were meeting monthly, but I've known Maisha, I've known the Cleveland Peacemakers for several years. I've seen firsthand how this team turns pain into purpose and how this works to save lives in the community. Community violence intervention isn't just a theory, it is an impact. In cities that invest, violence drops. This approach is grounded in data, in care, and in community. There has been a significant decline in violence in many cities, including here in Cleveland. These cuts are devastating, not just to the budgets, but to the progress that we've all made. And let's be clear, this is not a partisan issue. It's about saving lives and combining the full power of communities, from community leaders and credible messengers to hospitals and public health professionals. So we won't back down. The CVI ecosystem, it works, and together we'll keep building the safety and healing for our communities. Thank you.
And I'll save the last comment from a staff member who works at Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance. Vincent Evans, aka Vinny, if you could come to the podium and just talk about what does the work look like on the ground. I'll appreciate that. I'll do closing remarks and then we'll open it up to media for questions.
Good morning or afternoon, I don't know what time it is, I'm sorry. I'm about to use some numbers real quick that Councilman Starr actually quoted earlier, because it's important to understand this. In the last 5 years, there have been 953 homicides in the city of Cleveland. Of those, 825 were African Americans. We make up about 47% of the population of Cleveland, yet we make up 87% of the homicides. So when we talk about Black Lives Mattering, this matters. When people ask me what CVI is, I tell them anybody that does CVI is nothing less than a superhero. And the reason I say this is because, and I'm going to just give you a few examples of what we do and why it is important and why it matters. I have gotten calls in the middle of the night from Maisha saying, I'm out of town, but there was a shooting in a housing complex, CMHA. And I had to go down there in the middle of the night because there was a shooting where a youth was shot. And in the process of this, another shooting happened in another housing project. I had to leave that one and go somewhere else. Now, unfortunately, both of them, they were both homicides. But basically, our job consists of this. It's immeasurable what we do. Some of the things that we do, you cannot measure. For instance, my first year at the job, we used to go to every single scene when somebody was shot. We had to respond to, I believe, 99% of the shootings in the city. And in the process of this, I ended up going in my very first year of this job, I went to 65 homicide scenes where I had to stand next to a mother, a sister, a brother, and I had to explain to them the process. I had to go basically be a buffer between them and the police, the community and the police, because CVI work consists of allowing the police to do their job. Law enforcement has to do their job, which is to solve the crime or whatever, and the community has to do their job, which is, number one, to process this, what just happened, and number two, to start the process of healing. So we are in this crowd talking to parents, standing there with them, making sure that the next of kin is contacted and they know what's going on. We go to the hospitals. We have to figure out when someone is shot, what do we do so that you leave this hospital and this is the last shooting that takes place? How do we prevent retaliation? What do you need? Do you need a job? Do you need education? Do you need housing? We also work in the schools. We're working with the young people who are suspended, who have ankle monitors. We work in the courts with the young people who are on probation. If you want to stop gun violence, one of the things you have to do is you have to reach out to the people who are the perpetuators of gun violence, as well as the victims, because quite often, especially in the city of Cleveland, a lot of our shootings are retaliatory. So the goal, when you speak about Mariam, when you speak about Jeff, the people who I know from peacemakers who work in the hospitals, they have one of the most important jobs. And you can't measure how many times people have left the hospital wanting to commit a homicide, but didn't do it because those individuals were there. So I used to be a person who said I didn't like, the ivory tower people making decisions when you're on the ground. But at the end of the day, we need this because you gotta pay. You have to pay. My wife didn't understand. I'm gonna leave you with this last thing. My wife did not understand why every time I got a call in the middle of the night, I got up. Oh, this little boy, he had smoked some bad drugs and he going up and down Euclid by himself in his boxer shorts. But we don't want him to be murdered. We don't want anybody to feel unsafe. This is CVI. This is community violence interruption. I have to get out the bed and go to these things. And on this particular day, I got a call to go to the west side. And my wife, she didn't understand it. But when I got there, it turned out that it was my wife's nephew who had been murdered. So now my wife is there, my sister-in-law is there, my whole in-law family is there. And now they're watching me do what needs to be done. They're watching me go and talk to the police and make sure that the police and the people that are in charge can explain to them what's going on so that they can process this. Because at the end of the day, 825, that number, that is a real loss of life. These are real lives, and it disproportionately impacts African Americans and people, black and brown people. Unfortunately, it does in our city. So we need to be funded so that more people can do this work, because I can't go everywhere. My friends can't go everywhere. We superheroes, but guess what? It's so much going on that we need more superheroes, and we need the money to do it. We are very fortunate to have I don't like using comic book references, but we have our Professor Xavier right here, who's going to make sure that no matter what, somebody's going to be able to get to those things. So I want to thank Maisha for fighting for us, and I want to ask that everybody continues to fight for us.
I hope that you all learned a little bit more about the importance of partnership, funding, and showing up. And even before and after, with funding being terminated, none of the work is going to stop. The voices that have the ears of leaders and elected officials are still going to advocate. The organizations that have clubhouses and are on the community doing boots on the ground work and talking about suicide, and even those survivors, the work is going to continue. So it's not a matter of us quitting at all. I don't want you to hear that. but the importance of investment is needed. And what our call to action is that we're urging the administration to restore $100 million into the organizations, all 65 of us who have lost funding on April 22nd. Of that number, what was the number, 823 were black men?
25.
825 black men who were shot and killed. My cousin was one of them. His name was Mandrell Hall Jr. He was shot and killed on June 24th. And as Vinny mentioned, I usually send these messages that someone has been impacted by violence in the community. And I remember putting in our group chat, like, yo, my cousin, probably just like this, like, yo, my cousin just got shot. Meet us at the hospital. We went to University Hospital. And the professional work that I do became very personal, where I had to look at my family and not the family members of people who we serve and tell them that it's okay. To be the only peacemaker in a family when violence is high is hard. Because as easy as it is to say, we do not want to retaliate the emotions and feelings of people who feel as if they need to. It's not justified, but people understand. And our job is to look families in the eye, including my family, and say, yo, we cannot retaliate. What we can do is honor the life that we lost by ensuring that not another person, another child, or another family has to experience what we're experiencing. So I want you to know, like, I'm not doing this, like, it's not cool to just do for a job. Like, this is a calling. Like, the people that do this work is dedicated. Like, the trauma that we experience, to reduce the trauma that people experience, that's not easy. And we have to get investment. We have to show up. We cannot stop. So I want you to know, like, I'm not here because this is a cool job to have. I'm here because my family depends on it. Your family depends on it. Our community depends on it. So I want to say thank you for being here. I want to say thank you for listening. And two, I want to honor all lives that have been lost and families that have been impacted by this disease of violence. And the people that are up here, the people that are watching, I want you to know that together we can. But if you're unwilling to do this together, then you are a part of the problem. I need you to know that. So if you want to be a part of systems working together, community working together, and us bridging the gap and working complementary to law enforcement, we're different, but we understand that there are roles that they have to play. But in the midst of that, our goal is for people to be alive and free. So we're not aiding to people being incarcerated. We're going to offer diversion opportunities to keep people in communities and reduce the impact of violence. So I want to say thank you, and at this time, I want to open it up for questions from media.
Dan DeRosa with 19 News as they wrap up the news conference being held at City Hall in the rotunda there. This is all about trying to get funding reinstated for what's known as CVI, that's community violence intervention. I love the term, or the changing of the phrase, that not just community violence intervention, but interruption. These groups work on everything from trying to get guns off the street, get young men and women headed in the right direction, to crisis intervention at hospitals, to much more work after that. Funding cut as a part of the Trump administration, looking at money given to local organizations. I believe this was part of a DOGE cut that happened back in April. And the Cleveland Peacemakers are hoping that something can be done to reinstate some of that funding. We're going to wrap this up. I believe our Aria Janelle, reporter, is in attendance. She'll have a complete wrap up on our early evening news. Otherwise, our 11 o'clock news is 10 minutes away, and then our noon news on Channel 19. Until then, I'm Dan DeRosa with 19 News. Have a good afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and follow us on social media @Cleveland 19 News.